Welcome back to Plague Scythe Studios, everyone. Today we are checking out one of Mooer's newest creations, a micro pedal that emulates speaker cabinets, microphones, power amps, and even EQ, called the Radar. Many moons ago, we checked out a micro preamp by Mooer called the Kali Mark III, and there's actually going to be another series of these coming out fairly soon, from what I understand. So stay tuned for that, because I think they have one amp that I really want. But what I loved about these pedals is the authenticity of the sound you get in a micro format. And one of the things I wanted to pair with this ever since they came out was a speaker cabinet simulator of the same size. And this actually does have a bit of a impulse response or some type of EQ that you can activate that sounds pretty good if you're plugging straight into a board or recording software suite of some kind. But there's only one of them, which is, you know, a bit limited, and I rely just as much on speaker cabinets and different impulse responses to get different sounds as I do the actual amplifiers going in them. So you could buy, you know, 10 of these, but you really only had one choice per preamp pedal when it came to cabinet simulation. In the meantime, we also checked out the Trescab, which is an older Mooer pedal, and it essentially contains 5 different EQ profiles that try to emulate real speaker cabinets, but it doesn't really get you anywhere close to the authenticity behind impulse responses. You don't get a lot of the dynamics, still a lot of fizz, still a lot of boom that doesn't sound realistic. Enter the Mooer Radar. This certainly isn't the first impulse response loading pedal out there on the market. For instance, Two Notes has their own, but I don't think anything comes close to achieving what this does for the price point as well as the footprint. Again, this is in a micro pedal format, so it'll be able to match up perfectly right next to your micro preamp if you so choose. This runs off of a single 12-volt power supply, which is a bit disappointing. They couldn't squeeze 9 volts into it, but understandable. One disadvantage to this design choice is that the power supply is as big, if not bigger than the pedal, but still it's a little bit better than the brick monstrosity 24 volt that shipped with the Baby Bomb. So I'm at least glad they were able to shrink it down to 12 volts. You also have a micro USB type B connector for connecting to your PC and be able to use the Mooer Studio software. And that's kind of a light Axe Edit or Line 6 Helix type software that allows you to do everything you'd be able to do on the screen of this pedal, but with the ease of your PC, as well as loading your own impulse responses, which we'll get to shortly. Another great I/O feature on this pedal is a dedicated headphone jack, which makes this a must buy for me personally, because I've always been able to throw distortion pedals, preamp pedals, even small overdrive pedals into a bag and just take it with me on the road. But you always have to take some type of speaker solution or a bunch of converter cables or something to be able to play through headphones and not sound like absolute garbage. With a headphone jack, not only do you not have to buy an external pedal that would give you a stereo output, but you don't have to sacrifice portability nor sound quality to achieve a silent rig on the go. That's a killer feature for me. The face of this pedal isn't exactly in line with a lot of Mooer's recent creations, which is a good thing in this case. You have a simple one-button operation of either scrolling or clicking in to operate the color LCD display, which is pretty cool. It's better than the AX8, which is pretty funny considering how small and inexpensive this item is compared to a full-fledged amp modeler. Even at floor distance, the display remains crystal clear. You can read all the text, see all the pictures, you'll know exactly what preset you're on. And even though this is a bit of an archaic way of, you know, navigating around a display, I still use this more than I have my AX8 since I've had it for like 6 months at this point. So it does get a little bit used to holding down different time periods to get to a bypass screen or get to the different modification screens, but it's fairly intuitive, and I wouldn't know how to do it by the manual I was given anyway because it's all in Chinese. So I figured it out. It's not hard, And like I said, I've been using this as much as the built-in software. The Radar's out-of-the-box capabilities are divided into 3 main screens. You have power amp emulation, the cabinet and microphone section, and finally a post-EQ stage. The power amp simulation can be really useful if you're running something like the effect send of an amplifier for some reason, or something like the preamp pedals by Mooer or any other company for that matter. And that gives you a little bit more realistic compression. You're able to choose from 4 different tube types, which do drastically affect the sound a little bit more so than what I think is realistic. In my opinion, I don't think they're just changing the tube types. I think they're changing different power amps. So the EL34 and 6L6 tubes sound way different than what they would if you change them on something like a fractal amp modeler. So I imagine they're just going through something like a Mesa power amp versus a Marshall power amp. Whatever it is, you still can get some really good results. You have some input output as well as a presence metric to play with, and it will allow you to get just a little bit more brightness out of a otherwise maybe flat sounding preamp. The Radar's real capability lies within the cabinet and microphone emulation, where you have access to 30 different cabinet models and 11 microphone models, which is even more than a lot of premium software has, so that's pretty cool. This includes different cabinets anywhere from 1x8s, 2x12s, 2x10s, 4x12s, Marshalls, Mesas, Ingles, Bogners, as well as some bass models. So you have some 4x10s, some 15-inch speaker models, 8x10s, some Bassman stuff. So this isn't just limited to guitar. And as you'll hear momentarily with bass guitar, it does sound pretty good. You can get some pretty drastically different tones by mixing and matching microphone models to cabinet models. I especially like the SM57, 58, the Neumann stuff, U87, U47, but there's a lot of great microphones included. You even have some distance and distance to center on the microphone positioning, although it doesn't give you quite the drastic change. And really, it sounds like 2 different settings that are just blended on the in-between settings. So that is a bit of a bummer, but I wouldn't have expected them to put like 10 different impulse responses for every combination. That'd be a little ridiculous. But it does work really well, and you'll get some pretty realistic tones by matching your favorite mics to your favorite cabinets. The out-of-the-box presets on this pedal are definitely great, but in my opinion, the real value of this pedal lies in being able to store your own impulse responses into any of the 36 presets. So all of your own hammer stuff, your red wire stuff, impulse responses you've made, you'll be able to carry with you in your pocket anywhere you go. Now, unless something changes between now and the time this video goes up, you do have to overwrite some of the factory impulse responses to load your own. For me, not a big deal. I'll gladly take away some of the ones I don't care for to be able to take my own Excalibur and Mesa impulse responses anywhere I go, because honestly, who's going to be using 36 user presets anyway? If you need 36 different cabinet sounds, I'd hate to see your set list. Now, in my envisioned use case, I would probably be turning the power amp sims off if I'm using custom impulse responses, because you'd be using them on the lines out of something like real tube amplifiers, especially if you want to use like the AX8 or the Helix or something like that in 4-cable method, and you don't have a way to send a signal directly to front of house. Here's your solution. You'll be able to use all the digital effects as well as real tubes and still get a real front of house signal without miking up a cabinet and having to kill small animals to get the good tone and volume you need. The last screen, which is definitely not to be overlooked, is the EQ section, which gives you access to a guitar and bass graphic EQ as well as a general parametric EQ. And I don't find this super useful in comparison to the cabs and mics, because for me, if I was going to be sending this out somewhere, it's probably either going to be, through a mixer board with its own EQ, or I'll just take care of it in a DAW. But it's still nice if you don't have anything else to sculpt your tone with, or you just want to get it a little bit closer to the source. So the high pass and low pass features will definitely be used for that in my case. Everything else is just a cherry on top in my opinion. So it does work, and I'm really glad they added that option mainly for the low and high passes. But if you do need it, it's there. My overall impressions of the Mooer Radar, it crushes this thing. Not that this was exactly a high bar, but it's nice to be able to have a professional sounding cabinet simulation pedal that I can take anywhere, again, pocket sized. It'll be a great travel companion as well as a great oh shit type of tool if I do run into those situations where you need a direct signal with cabinet sound. For 150 bucks, it is a little bit more pricey than some of their other micro lines of pedals, even a little bit more than the Baby Bomb, which will allow you to go to a real cabinet. But I think with the feature set, with the quality, with a really nice screen, it feels really well built. I think it's very much worth that price, especially when you compare it to some of the competitors on the market. You'll probably get more presets. You'll be able to have a larger database of your own impulse responses, but ultimately, to me, at something this small, do you really need more than 36 cabinets? I mean, I don't use that many combined probably across my entire suite of AX8 patches and free VST setups and all that good stuff. So fits my needs perfectly. The headphone jack is killer, and everything else is just cherry on top. Like being able to control it from PC with USB. So yeah, this is definitely another winner pedal from them. I'm loving what Mooer's doing, and every time I've asked for something, it's been coming out. So when I first reviewed the preamp pedal, I said I would love a impulse response loader in that form, and here we are. So keep them coming. I'll keep buying because I have no allegiance to any guitar manufacturer out there or guitar accessory manufacturer, propane accessories, but I've been really digging what Mooer's doing, and I hope they keep coming with some cool stuff that I don't even know I want in this form factor. It's pretty great. So hope you enjoyed the video, and we will see you next time with probably more micro pedals because you can't run out of space for these things. Why not? Thanks for watching. Bye.